Hello everyone, this is Purva Dashottar and I'm so fortunate to bring to you the Antaranga Series by Nepa Rudraksha in an effort to make sure that you understand us better, our efforts better and Rudraksha better, and that is why it is my absolute pleasure to introduce to you Sukritya Khatiwada, a third generation Vedic expert of his family, a flag bearer of Rudraksha and Sanatana knowledge, a Gen Z who has chosen legacy over trends, who has chosen to do something timeless in a world that does not stop.
A consultation can solve nothing. A consultation can only give you solutions. The solution is Rudraksha, mantra and the practices.
There is not one page in the book that seems biased to me. That seems like you're trying to sell a mukhi or that you're trying to sell a Rudraksha.
Rudraksha is not something that can be sold. If you have Rudraksha in your destiny, in your karma, it will come to you. Our responsibility at Nepa Rudraksha is just to be that door that you open when you know you're ready to step in.
Have you performed the aarti inside of Pashupatinath?
Absolutely. Every single day, there's multiple pujas that are performed inside Pashupatinath. There is even information out there where people have claimed that pujas cannot be performed at Pashupatinath Temple, which is absolutely untrue. I recommend everyone to visit and perform a puja themselves.
Every product that you send out, there's also, blessings from Pashupatinath. Because I've received mine. There's something called Pranapratishtha on your website and people also get a video of the same puja. So even if somebody cannot go, I feel that you somehow take them there in spirit. Was this planned in such a way?
I'd never planned this because this is not something that I did. This is something that has always been done at Nepa Rudraksha. We're not actually filling it with energy, we're just activating the Rudraksha. It's like igniting the energy that is already present in the Rudraksha through the Pranapratishtha puja. And because of our history of being from Pashupatinath, that's the reason that we are able to continue this practice. And it's almost shocking to people that this is being done today, that it just blows their mind. I would not in million or billion of lifetime, if I was ever to be reincarnated again in this world, choose any other different location, because to be able to be around that energy, I think my life is already complete. Everything else is a bonus, right? Thank you, Purva. Thank you so much for having me here.
So we are here today to just talk a little bit about, how you got to know about Rudraksha. I know that you run Nepa Rudraksha. I've seen what you've done with the company. I really want to know what led to that.
Yeah.
How did Nepa Rudraksha start?
I think for me to say that I chose Rudraksha or the field of Rudraksha would be injustice to my history. I was born in a family where for more than 3 generations we have been working with Rudraksha. So Rudraksha actually chose me, and to be born in the family, I feel very blessed. My grandfather, late Mr. Balaram Khatiwada, with my grandmother, late Mrs. Lakshmi Balaram Khatiwada, started the company Nepa Rudraksha. They were both Vedic experts, and then the company was led by my father, Mr. Mukunda, who's still very active, who acts as the president of Nepa Rudraksha today. And it's my pleasure as well as it's a great blessing that I'm able to lead this company forward. And the only mission that we really have is to first educate people about what Rudraksha really is. I hate to say, but it's almost like a forgotten or a very mysterious place for people because of misinformation as well as lack of information about the subject. And second is to provide the highest quality Rudraksha to any seeker anywhere in the world. So I'm very committed to that mission, and being able to talk about Rudraksha in today's day and age itself is a blessing, and to be able to share a little bit of what I know with anyone who is interested is also a blessing. And even to have people in today's day and age where there's so much noise and there's so much to be distracted, so many things to be distracted about, for people to spend their valuable time learning about the subject of Rudraksha itself is a blessing. So I just feel honored to be in this position where I'm able to spend a few minutes talking about this divine subject of Rudraksha.
You have told me multiple times that how it's a family legacy, how 3 generations of Vedic expertise has come together. but that is a very mature way of looking at it. I also want to know from you, as a child, for example, when my father would come down, so me and my father are in the same profession, were in the same profession for a long time. And I used to remember when I was working, thinking about, oh, this is how I used to solve this problem. Okay, the balance sheet and, okay, the labor law, so many things that I would relate to. And I really wonder, how was it for you? Because Rudraksha is not tangible.
Yeah.
You feel it before you actually see it and you understand it.
Yeah.
So as a kid, how was it being around Rudraksha?
When I was growing up, I used to see people from all walks of life, very successful people or people who are really struggling. All of them come to my house, meet my father, meeting my grandfather when he was with us, and really sharing their, personal problems as well as their situation, whether that be financial situation, relationship situation. And I used to think why, I used to often wonder why these kind of conversations are happening in my place. And also I used to visit a lot with my father. I went to India, I went to the US, I went to a lot of different places where my father used to meet a lot of these client of his. And the one thing that I found common was a lot of the people were experiencing several different situations in their life, but when they saw Rudraksha, something lit up in them. It was like a ray of hope. It was like a ray of change. See, in life, anything that gives you change, gives you that opportunity, whether that be a person who is extremely materially successful, but any and every person, are looking for something that they don't have. And when they saw Rudraksha, they found that something that completed them. So, growing up, I used to be seeing people who walked in with a lot of cravings or a lot of need, but walked out fulfilled. So that feeling of seeing people transformed, seeing people happy when they leave, sad when they walk in, is kind of what drew me into this. Because at the end of the day, happiness is very, it's a very attractive feeling. It's an attractive energy. And when you see people walk in with a lot of challenges but walk out with hope, you want to be a bearer of that hope. And Rudraksha, for a lot of us, for me, for people, for anyone that I've met, has been that ray of hope, that ray of change. And growing up, I used to see that. I used to see people, when I was learning about these things in school or in universities, I used to, learn about lawyers. I used to learn about, entrepreneurs. I used to learn about a lot of different people, which was told to us that they're the, these are the people that you want to be. And I was seeing those people who we consider to be very successful walk into my family, walk into, our showrooms, talking about the issues, talking about the challenges that they faced. What that made me realize is everyone, irrespective of who they are humans. And humans are seekers. They're seeking for change. They're seeking for transformation. And I realized that Rudraksha was that tool that helped them transform. And, growing up, I saw that transformation journey firsthand and with a lot of different people. And that is what made me attracted to this and made me, I really, like I said, I never really had any second choice or any second, thought about whether I would be in Nepa Rudraksha or not. For me, Nepa Rudraksha is more like it's like a religion to me. It's like
second nature.
Second nature to me, and it's home to me. If I close my eyes, I see Nepa Rudraksha, and the only thing that I want to see is for this this mission of ours to grow and to be successful.
Do you have any memory of when was the first time you actually, because as a kid you see a lot of things. You go, you see, you observe. It takes you some bit to come to conclusions. So do you remember at what age did you, because it's a very wonderful conclusion to come to. You did not conclude that, oh, this is magic. You did not conclude, oh, this is mystery. You concluded this is hope, which is a very timeless message. So at what age did you come to that conclusion that Rudraksh for me and for people is hope? So that is what I want to equate it to.
Yeah. I really don't know if there is a specific age. The first memory of Rudraksha for me is when I wore it to school. So I used to wear Rudraksha before I knew what Rudraksha is. So I don't know a life without wearing Rudraksha. Rudraksha has always been there. And sometimes, growing up, you play a lot of sports. So I used to break my chain or, not be able to wear Rudraksha for a few days. And I used to feel different. And my mother used to, ask me if you're wearing your Rudraksha diligently or not. So it was first a hope or a first energy for myself. So a life without Rudraksha was incomplete for me. So that is the first memory of the first hope that Rudraksha ever gave to anyone in my memory is me. I am the first wearer and I'm the first person to be, to feel the energy. So I didn't see other people transform first. I saw the transformation in myself first. And then I was able to equate that, maybe some people didn't realize why they were wearing Rudraksha. But when I saw them, I saw myself as well in different situations. I mean, not, a kid can never compare to the problem of an adult, but, the transformation, it's very similar.
And a kid always feels the energy in the room.
Yes.
I feel kids are always privy to what you're feeling because of the energies in the room. Maybe
Correct.
they don't know how to describe it. So that is always true. So 3 questions, but let's start with the easiest one. Can kids wear Rudraksh?
Absolutely. Like I said, me, my sister, who's much younger than me, all of us, any kid in my family or any family that I've ever consulted have worn Rudraksha. And I think there's a huge difference in kids that have worn Rudraksha from a really young age to a person who is introduced to a Rudraksha later down in their life. I think if a kid is able to wear a Rudraksha from a small, from their early childhood, that would really be much more transformative for them. So yes, they can absolutely wear it. And we often consider children to be small. I mean, when we look at children, they're very small, they have tiny hands, but we consider their soul to be small as well. The soul is timeless. The soul that they carry is timeless. The Atma, the Antaratma is something that never ages. It also means that it's never a kid, neither is it an adult. They have the soul of an adult. So a Rudraksha is worn by a kid only if the kid has done good prenatal karma in their previous life. The time when they get access to Rudraksha depends on their karma, is what I feel. If they've done good karma, they get access to Rudraksha really early in life. I have one client. I mean, I don't really discuss personal details of any client because of privacy, and I really want to respect everyone's sadhana. But I'll make it generic so that we can never find out. But I have one of my clients, very high achieving sadhak, and he has a kid. He's very young. His kid is, I think, 11 years old, and he's already wearing a Karya Siddhamala, which is 1 through 17 Mukhi Rudraksha, right? So it is beyond even me to contemplate how an 11-year-old is able to manage wearing a Karya Siddhamala. And when I ask the father, what the father says is, the kid wears the mala when he sits down with the father to do his morning prayers. He goes to school without wearing the mala. He enjoys his school. He does all the activities. But every morning before going to school, he spends 15-20 minutes sitting down, praying with his father, and during that time he's wearing the Karya Siddhamala. And his goal is to wear the Indramala when he's very young. So, when kids have these spiritual goals, we often get confused. We often fear those goals. To be very honest with you, our society fears kids being very spiritual because we often translate spirituality with, solitude. We often translate it disassociation, but you can very much be associated and spiritual at the same time. And this kid is an example and is someone that I look up to because I don't know if at the age of 11 I would have that patience every single morning to sit down with my father and meditate for 20 minutes before going to school, So there are these people, there are these evolved soul that we call who wear Rudraksha early on in their lives, and yes, they can definitely wear it.
So, based on your experience, because you've consulted thousands of people, and I understand that we don't like to share any, details about the client, but in a generic way for the viewers to understand, and for the parents to actually understand this better, that a lot of parents do things for their kids as milestones or as, just stepping stones for a bigger achievement, that if we teach them this, then this is going to happen. If we teach them this, this will lead to this materialistic achievement. While Rudraksh, especially for kids, there's no way to actually tangibly tell them that this is the pathway that this kid is going to go into. It will help them in their career or it will help them in their physical health. But that's actually not true. Just like an adult, like they would come with problems, they would leave with solutions, right? And when they start wearing Rudraksh, they would see those changes. What are those changes? What is transformation in a kid? How does that look like?
Yeah. I feel this is a question that I've thought about a lot, because when we see a kid transform, it's very different than an adult's transform, because adults have specific goals. Like you said, they have specific goals. For example, hey, I want to change a job. Wearing this Rudraksha, doing these mantras, are they going to present me with different opportunities? How do we map that to a child, right? Who in our view does not have those kind of big milestones. But that's the reason a lot of the kids wear Rudrakshas like the 5-Mukhi Rudraksha or Rudrakshas like the Vidyarthi Saraswati combinations. These Rudrakshas are meant for guidance, are meant for good direction, are meant for your ability to really take in and soak in knowledge that is being passed down to you. Because just imagine how a kid spends their entire day. They go to the school, right? School is meant to give them knowledge. But a lot of the kids have difficulty today concentrating. Most of the number one reason a parent comes to me for Rudraksha for their child is when they feel that the focus or concentration is missing. See, that is also then, I take a look at that in two ways. One, a lot of the parents have very high goals for kids, right? When you look at your child, you want to see them have the best of concentration. You just want them to study all day, all night. I first try to explain that every kid has to be and will be curious. It's the nature. But me as a bystander, me as someone, as a third person, very easy for me to say. I know that as a parent, you want the best for your kids. Yeah. But sometimes, because of the social media, because of a lot of the things that are happening in our environment, concentrating and focusing is very difficult. When you wear a Rudraksha early on as a child, you are setting yourself to certain habits. For example, waking up in the morning. As a child, if you wear a Rudraksha, you probably touch your Rudraksha once. You probably say a few prayers. You probably bring back your focus into a particular bead. When you learn these soft techniques of bringing back focus, having a discipline, having something that you feel is looking after you, having a shield not only gives you that constant reminder to concentrate and focus, it also gives you a confidence. It also gives you a protective shield. So, in subtler ways, a child wearing a Rudraksha transforms that child, I personally believe, in multiple ways. And a child who grows up wearing Rudraksha and grows up doing these basic small, spiritual habits is a completely different child than someone who starts later in life.
I think the best example of that, if I may say, is that you're actually a Gen Z.
Yeah.
And I say that a lot because it's very difficult for me to sometimes accept that I'm talking to somebody who's so young, but who comes with way over his years wisdom, who comes with understanding, probably because you consult with so many clients, so you understand people, you understand their perspective, and you actually respect it. That itself is a huge deal. So, parents, if you want your kid to be disciplined, discipline being the core of success, Rudraksh is a way to go. And the perfect example is Sukritya. You're 26, you are running Nepa Rudraksha, you've already written a book. I'm sure you're thinking of writing another one. You are also a master flute player. That is a detail not many people know. Yeah. But you play flute wonderfully. You have other businesses, other interests as well. At this age, I see you constantly talking about uplifting an entire country's economy. So I don't see you looking at materialistic goals. I see you looking at very holistic developments. So do you think wearing Rudraksh since childhood is what made you into who you are today?
Absolutely, 100%. I think whatever big or small that I've ever achieved in my life, I always, attribute success to three major things. The first thing being the blessing of my ancestors. I think my ancestors, my grandfather, grandmom, everyone who we feel have already left us, have left us physically, but I think their blessing still flows, and I'm, in debt of their blessing, and I feel their blessing every day and every night. And one of the reasons is because I wear my grandfather's Rudraksha. I feel that his knowledge, his satkarma has definitely carried on into me, and it's my responsibility to do justice to the Rudraksha of his that I wear as well. The first. Second thing that I attribute a little of my success to is definitely the blessing of my parents, who have always told me and reminded me to have these holistic goals, to have goals beyond material, to have goals of, when you make Nepa Rudraksha into a organization which helps people, everything else is secondary. You need to have a clear mission of why you exist in the first place. And for me, that mission, that vision was always crystal clear, embedded by my parents, which is to ensure that any seeker out there, anyone who's looking for an authentic Rudraksha, you provide it. Looks very simple, but to be able to provide you with the real thing that you seek is what our mission is. And the third thing that I attribute my success to is definitely Rudraksha and the sadhana that I was blessed to be aware of in early ages of my life, but I definitely saw the change. I saw the impact, and it's very I rarely talk about my sadhana. I rarely talk about the Rudrakshas that I wear, is because as the CEO of Nepa Rudraksha, it is definitely something that I would say, but the reason I don't say it is because, it's so sacred and so personal to me that I don't want to use it as, or even view it as, I don't want anyone to see it as me saying it just for the sake of saying it, but definitely it has had a huge impact in me, and I'm very blessed to be introduced to Rudraksha early age in my life.
When you were growing up, being around Rudraksh, you must have seen your grandfather, late Mr. Balaram Khatiwada. He must have also done consultations. And then you also saw your father, Mr. Mukunda Khatiwada. He brought Nepa Rudraksha to a new digital era. And then you came. And I've seen the products that you make. They are wonderful, especially because they are trying to answer questions that people are afraid to ask. How is it different? Let's first start with consultation. How is Rudraksha consultation different now than it was probably in Mukunda uncle's time, and then how it was in Balaram uncle's time?
Yeah. So, very interesting question. I think let's talk about the similarities first. The tools that we use, right? Vedic astrology, the foundation of consultation is definitely Vedic astrology. Yeah. The reason Vedic astrology is the foundation of Rudraksha consultation is because when someone comes to me or my parents or my grandfather for their particular concern, I think what I was told and what I realized later is you don't know really what your problem is. You might know what the challenges or the problems that you feel you're facing, but for you to have an unbiased perspective of, okay, this is the issue that I have, is very difficult. Vedic astrology gives us a unbiased perspective about the person that we meet, right? So you might come to me as saying that, hey, my relationship is not working at all. When I look at your chart, I see maybe an Angarak Yoga, which gives me an understanding that you might not have the best control over your temperament, right? So a lot of different nuances and a lot of different insights about you I can get through Vedic astrology. The same has been followed for over 3 generations, the same astrology and the same concept. The difference now is we have better tools, better technology. Every year, Nepa Rudraksha has been working to make our technology better. Because we don't believe in, this or that. We believe, why not both? We believe in science, we believe in technology, we believe in ensuring that we use the latest and the greatest to make sure that our product, our consultations are, the best that a human being today can get access to. So the tools that we use have definitely evolved, but the foundation is the same. Second, I think the problems that you come with. During the time of my grandfather, the stories that I hear are very different. A lot of the people came there for their sadhana. A lot of the consultations that my grandfather did was more catered towards sadhana than material problems, because the time was such. The people that were visiting Pashupatinath at that time, because I am originally from Pashupatinath, my grandfather was not able to do global consultations because there was no internet. There was no technology like Google Meet or Zoom, right? There were people who were walking in. So the amount of people that walked into Pashupatinath during that time for a consultation, you must imagine they are real seekers. The people who have climbed up the ladder in their own and now are looking for the final, ropes, final, tools that get them to the final stages of their sadhana. So those were the people that my grandfather were consulting, right? So he used to only meet highest level of sadhaks, and those were the people that he was consulting. So in his notes, in his stories that we know of him, we hear about these sadhaks that we seldom meet today, right? So he was solving a very different problem using the same tool but very different aspirations. Then came my father. My father consulted a lot of people through email, because that was the most advanced of technologies that we used to have. My father used to always tell me that he solved a lot of the problems or consult a lot of people through text and emails, right? So which is unimaginable to me. For me to imagine that a person is sharing their personal details through email, and then my father is replying back through email and consulting these people all around the world is beyond imagination today.
At this
but
point,
that was the reality then, right? And I believe that in the text, it made people sit down, think, and send those problems. So what we're seeing here, the pattern that I'm seeing is we consult people who are less and less aware of their problems, right? So today more than ever, because when you sit down and write an email, you have to think. You have to really think, distill down, self-reflect. Then you are typing that email and sending it to my father, right? Today, the generation, the people that I'm consulting are people who have booked a call and are in the Google Meet, and now we're discussing the problem, right? So it takes a lot of understanding, it takes a lot of communication, and it takes a lot of back and forth for me to be able to identify why you are really here. Then the solution, starts. So I think the challenges that we face today are different. Yes, it is easier for us to connect. I connect to people from all over the world. I connect to people who don't even speak our language.
That's digitally connecting.
Do
you feel that connecting with them is also easier?
I feel the connection is difficult. Digitally you are talking, but to build that connection, to build that understanding has become more and more and more and more difficult. today, right? And the people that we meet, the goals and aspirations are completely different. So yes, the tools that we use are same,
Yeah.
but the problems that we're solving has changed and has evolved. So you must constantly learn, constantly educate yourself, constantly read, and then solve. You can't, you can't say that yes, Nepa Rudraksha is the world's oldest Rudraksha vendor. There's no way denying that.
Yeah.
But you can't just rely on your history to solve the problem today. You must take your history as your foundation, but you must continue to build your knowledge for the day and age of today. So I see a lot of people talking about history, but what are you doing today to enrich your potential? That's a very important question to self-reflect.
When you were just now talking about how consultations have changed and you were talking about how people come and they don't know what the problem is, I kind of related to it to another conversation. It's like an entire therapy session in one, and in one session you have to understand who the person is, what their perspective is, what their life is right now. For us it's very simple, ki, oh, they know about planets, oh, they know about a birth chart, but that birth chart somehow tells you everything.
Yeah.
How does that happen? If you can tell us a little bit.
I personally believe that Vedic consultation is a very, very sacred and high energy consultation. There's a lot of, preparation that goes in. For example, when you book a consultation with me, you have your details sent to me beforehand. So it's not that, I'm coming there unprepared. There's a lot of preparation. There's a lot of, study that goes into the charts, right? You have to look at various different aspects. So when you look at a birth chart, the 30 minutes or the 1 hour that you spend with the person that you're consulting is the end result. But there's a lot of things that happen in the back door that goes unnoticed, but that is very important as well. You need to look at the Lagna chart. You need to look at the Navamsa chart. You need to look at all the relationships of the grahas. You have to look at the planetary positions. You have to look at the combustions. You have to look at the dashas. You have to look at the antardashas, pratyantardashas. Every single thing you have to be aware of. You also have to be aware of what the planet or the gochar of today is before you walk in, right? And when you walk in, then you need to verify that whatever you've studied is actually, real, right? Because there's a billion different possibilities that can be happening. There are billion different tendencies that are happening. Where are you in that, spectrum of possibilities? Depends on the karmas, depends on how evolved you are. When you're talking about how evolved someone is, you're not, judging them. What you're doing is you're just basing your view of the individual depending on the problems that they tell you, right? Some people might be having extreme difficulty focusing on their third eye. The conversation of the planets that I will have with that particular person is going to be very different than a person who is coming to me with a relationship issue, or coming to me with a health issue, or coming to me with certain different problems, right? So with the understanding of the individual, with the understanding of the problems and the obstacles that they might face, and then talking to them and validating that, okay, these are actually happening, we come out with the conclusion of what the solution is. And I always tell, see, a consultation can feel very enriching to people. Very enriching to people. I hear people say, I felt extraordinary once I walked out with the consultation. I always tell them that is very temporary, because a consultation can solve nothing. A consultation can only give you solutions, but that is not the solution. Consultation is the start of the solution. The solution is Rudraksha, mantra, and the practices. You need to do actions. In Shiva Purana, it is written that a human can transform only through 3 ways. The 3 ways are mantra, tantra, and yantra. right? Communication cannot transform. Communication can give you, a direction, but that is it. It's a direction. You need to walk towards the direction. You can't, for example, for me to come here today, I needed to take a drive here. I need to look at the GPS and know the duration it would take. Just looking at the GPS does not, give me the ability to come here. I need to actually, step down, come down, sit in a car and then drive here and be here, right? The GPS only gives me the direction or the routes and tells me how long it might take for me to reach there. But I really need to take actions, and those actions are the things that we recommend during a consultation. For that reason, at Nepa Rudraksha, what I came up with is every single consultation is applicable towards your order of Rudraksha, right? We don't want to sell you consultation. We want your consultation fees to be applied towards your Rudraksha, because that is what brings you the change. And I want every single penny that you invest at Nepa Rudraksha to go towards your change.
When we're talking about Vedic consultations, the amount of effort and the homework that goes into one consultation, the entire historic knowledge, being up to date, and then also understanding human nature. How do you ensure that any experts at Nepa Rudraksha, they are good for this? When we think of a consultation, it is a lot of effort goes into it, so much of homework goes into it. You need to know the historic knowledge. You also need to be updated. You also need to have a very good understanding of human nature, which is very important, because as you said that a consultation is a game plan. It is a roadmap for you to start, actionable plan. Then how do you at Nepa Rudraksha ensure that all the experts that are there are up for it, that they are going to give the best game plan that a customer deserves?
Absolutely. Whenever someone comes to Nepa Rudraksha for a consultation, it is a huge responsibility in everyone's shoulder, right? Because I know that when you walk in for a consultation, you're coming to a consultation because you want actionable plans that are going to bring change in your life, right? You're coming to me with hope. You're coming to me because you want a change. And it's very important that I respect that and I understand that, right? So a Vedic astrologer has limited knowledge in Rudraksha. A Rudraksha only expert might have limited knowledge in Vedic astrology. For you to be able to consult someone, a Vedic Rudraksha expert needs to have three things. The first thing that they need to have is knowledge of Vedic astrology and numerology. Without the core knowledge, core foundation, you're unable to consult a person, because, for you to be able to understand the charts is very important. For you to be able to understand the planets, the tendencies, the qualities of the planets are very important. Second, you must understand Rudraksha in depth. You need to be able to understand the physical properties of Rudraksha, how a size can make a huge difference, or how every single mukhi carries a subtly different energy, and what kind of Rudraksha, what kind of combination, what kind of Siddhamalas are available to you when you recommend. That is very important to know about Rudrakshas and how different Rudrakshas can have different impact on different conjunctions within a planetary birth chart, right? So Vedic astrology, numerology, and Rudraksha expertise is very important. But the third aspect is very important as well. And the third aspect is a mixture of two. The mixture of care. You need to have that care. You need to have that understanding that whoever you're helping today, you are helping them for the rest of their lives. Because at Nepa Rudraksha, the consultation is not year focused, month focused, day focused. It is focused for the rest of your life. We want you to walk out with a Rudraksha that you can wear for the rest of your life and see you transform and be there with your journey. Because you have to remember, we have been doing this for 3 generations. I still consult people who my father used to consult, right? So we are responsible for our action plans and for our recommendations that we provide you with. So that care, that relationship is very important. And also the understanding of Sanatana Dharma, the understanding of sadhana, the understanding of mantras, the understanding of various different deities, cultures, practices, donations. Every single aspect of Sanatana Dharma is very important when you sit down and consult a person. So it might feel that it's a 30-minute call. it might feel like it's just a WhatsApp voice call. It might feel that it's just a Google Meet. It might feel like it's just an in-person interaction. But the work, the homework, the dedication, the preparation that goes into it is extraordinary. And that is the reason we're confident in our recommendation. That is the reason that for you to be qualified to be able to consult a Nepa Rudraksha client is extremely difficult. And I'm blessed to have, teams who have been working with me for years and who have seen these interaction and who I am confident on to be able to use these, pillars and values when you talk to a client, because when you consult, you are responsible for that consultation.
Do you also need to know gemology? Is there a relationship?
So we often get questions about the gemstones that you need to wear. You need to be able to understand how a gemstone impacts a planet and how Rudrakshas impact a gemstone, and whether you can wear Rudrakshas and gemstones together, and whether, a Rudraksha is good for you or a gemstone is good for you. These kind of questions you need to be able to answer. And this is a very straightforward answer. And I have always told people that Rudraksha can be worn with gemstone, and Rudraksha and gemstone should not be looked at from the same lenses, because Rudraksha is a transformational tool. It can even help your debilitated or weak planets to gain strength, whereas gemstone is just an amplification tool which can amplify the positives. I know that gemstone work as well. I wear a gemstone myself, and I've always been vocal about that. And the reason is because if your particular planet is strong, a gemstone can act as a great catalyst to make it stronger. But if you are facing challenges because of a certain planet, if you're going through a certain dasha, a certain Sadesati, then a Rudraksha is unparalleled in its impact to a human body.
So it actually comes back to the Vedic expertise and to your birth chart. So I think the amazing thing there is everything actually depends on your birth chart. So a lot of the things that you decide come from there. And one thing that I would want to ask you is, have you ever been curious enough to check your own?
Absolutely. I believe that, and this is something that has been validated by a lot of different experts, is in previous times, in the previous days, when Sanatana Dharma, everyone used to be able to understand it and read Sanskrit and have better knowledge of the sacred Dharma that it is. Everyone used to have basic knowledge of astrology, right? And used to be able to view their own charts, because astrology is a tool for transformation. It's a tool to understand yourself first. Before you help others, you need to help yourself and be able to understand what your tendencies are. So, knowledge of astrology is not the entirety of Sanatana Dharma, but a very important aspect of it. You need to be able to understand yourself. And astrology, the knowledge of astrology, should be utilized for yourself as well. So definitely I've studied my own birth charts as well, and I'm in my own journey as well. So absolutely, Vedic astrology is important not only for helping others, but for helping yourself as well.
Would you then recommend people to learn a bit of basic astrology?
Absolutely. Learning basic astrology is definitely powerful, but you need to ensure that you're learning from the right experts, and that you have spent enough years practicing it, because little knowledge can often and always be very dangerous, and you might, be very scared to begin with when you see your own birth chart. But you must understand that, astrology is foundation, but there is a lot of karmas that you need to do, a lot of practices that you have already done, which are impactful in the ways that the astrology reacts with you.
So whenever I open Instagram, some or the other channel is telling me either, there's a retrograde, or about some Sadesati, or they would probably make me believe that I have Sadesati. It doesn't really matter if I have one or not. Or they'll tell me about numerology, that if you're this Mulank or this Bhagyan, there's a lot of information. And I feel that sometimes I don't know what to do with it. So what do you suggest? Would you ever suggest a person to just blindly follow these reels, blindly follow this information? How should they ensure that any source of information that they're following is actually correct?
Absolutely. So it's the truth of today that when you open Instagram and if you're following astrology, then because of the algorithms you are able to see lots and lots and lots of astrology contents, and Mulang contents are particularly popular because if you're number 2, this, right? So while I have utmost respect for the people who are bringing out these contents because they are making people aware that these kind of knowledge, these kind of practices are available, it is also very important to take it with a grain of salt, because just your Rashi or just your zodiac sign is one of the 12 houses of the Vedic birth chart, right? Your moon is positioned in one of the 12 houses that are available in a Vedic birth chart. It really tells you very little. 1 out of 12, 1 out of 12, it's a fractional information about you, right? It's not complete. It's not the entirety of who you are. So if you are someone who reads the newspaper and looks at the zodiac for that particular day, then that is not astrology. That is very, very, very surface level information. If you're genuinely wanting change, if you genuinely want to take your life and want to transform the way you're living, then you need to have a proper consultation where every single aspects are studied. So look at the content on Instagram, but don't believe that that's the entirety of truth, because that is extremely surface level, and it's also very obvious, right? Because when you're creating content for the mass, you cannot be making a personalized recommendation. It needs to be a mass recommendation. So a Mulang 2, there can be 50 people in this room itself who are Mulang 2, right? That's the reason at Nepa Rudraksha, we value one-on-one interaction. We value your specific personalized detail. You will never see me saying, for people born on December 1st, this is the Rudraksha to wear, because on December 1st, a lot of the different things can change. You need to have personalized recommendation.
That's true. So to give context to some of the people, so I'm a chartered accountant, when we are studying, there's something called auditing standards. Now, auditing standards are text that you have to read to understand how to do an audit. Now, that is something like Mulang 2 and Mulang 6, because it does not really tell me what to do when I'm going and sitting there, and there's people double my age who know their business really well, and now this kid is going to be sitting there trying to understand it better than them and come up with something. I feel that process, the forensic auditing, the stock auditing, the statutory auditing, the process flow of it is more like Vedic astrology. And what we hear on Instagram on a reel is more like that one line of standard that you're supposed to remember. Yeah. So I think people should be very careful in what they want to believe in. But there are people who are genuinely interested, who want to transform. So would you, at Nepa Rudraksha, then come up with a course or come up with a way for them to not just learn about Vedic astrology, but also learn how to use this knowledge in their day-to-day life to make their life better?
Absolutely. And I think this knowledge is the reason that I wrote the book, Transform Your Life with Rudraksha. It's much more than Rudraksha that I've put into that book, because I had people come up to me, ask me questions beyond Rudraksha, whether that be questions regarding sadhana, whether that be questions regarding astrology, whether that be questions regarding Shiva Puran, Devi Bhagavad Puran. All of these questions is what I've used and compiled my answers into writing this book. So while the book is titled Transform Your Life with Rudraksha, the word transformation itself is a very, very heavy word, which requires knowledge about all the aspects that I talked about before. So while I do plan to work on a course that I can provide to people, I think the best step is definitely to consult my book or talk to one of our experts if you really want to, understand and dive deeper.
So a little bit more about the book. I've been fortunate enough to actually see it, so I'll ask specific questions, and I hope the viewers also go and read it. You have been very thorough. There is not one page in the book that seems biased to me. That seems like you're trying to sell a mukhi or that you're trying to sell a Rudraksh. You've been very honest, very upfront, and a deep dive into knowledge about Rudraksh. What was your inspiration and what was the process of writing this book?
Yeah. One of the things that I want to make very clear is no one in the world can sell you a Rudraksha. Rudraksha is not something that can be sold or not something that can be bought. If Rudraksha is destined, if you have Rudraksha in your destiny, in your karma, it will come to you. However, for you to be, interested and inclined, no one can, generate that inclination. According to Devi Bhagavad Purana, only a few people are attracted to Rudraksha. It's written in our Puranas that not everyone is, attracted or everyone has the inclination to wear a Rudraksha. Our responsibility at Nepa Rudraksha is just to be that door that you open when you know you're ready to step in. No one can force you and bring you into that door. And I've always known that, and I've always believed that. So none of my work ever will be focused towards selling you something. What I want to focus on, however, is when you're ready, you get the best. And when you're ready, you know what you're doing. That information that you require for you to be able to use your Rudraksha properly, irrespective of where you have gotten your Rudraksha, is in the book. So the book was written because I genuinely wanted to answer the questions that people, seekers, and myself had. So the book is a journal. I would say it's more of a journal of mine that I've been keeping from the day that I've been doing sadhana, right? The questions that I had, the questions that I was curious about, the questions that I know that the thousands of people that I've consulted are curious about. I've tried my best to do my research, to read the Puranas, to read the Gita, to read all the various texts available to me about Vedic astrology, about Rudraksha, and bring all of that and bring it into one book, which is accessible, which can be understood by today's reader. That's been the entire goal of me writing this book. So by the time you read the book, I want you to understand what Rudraksha is, but with the understanding of Rudraksha, I want you to understand what Sanatana Dharma is as well. And I truly believe that Rudraksha is extraordinarily transformative, and the book is just an effort of mine to help you realize that. See, I often feel that I have a gold mine, but I have to advertise the gold mine, right? And the book is just an effort to do just that.
I think the book has so much information. It would be a very good way to start for anybody who wants to know about Rudraksh. For me, it has been a guideway to teach me about what kind of Rudraksha are all there, what do they do. And somehow, I don't know, you have not written something that reads like that, but you have written something that feels like that, feels like transformation. So sometimes when you're reading the book, after a page or two, you feel like, oh, okay, that is how I was thinking, and maybe I can think like this. So I think a lot of people who feel stuck should actually read the book. That's my personal recommendation to you all. When you were talking about Sanatana Dharma right now, and I've seen you speak about this at length. I've seen you speak about Shivji at length. I've also seen you speak about your connection to Pashupatinath. So you're from Nepal, right? Do you feel that this passion for Sanatana Dharma, this understanding that this is, I'm not living for this, or this is not a belief system, but this is my lifestyle. This is who I am. This is engraved in me. Does that also come a little bit from where you come from, because you were so close to Pashupatinath?
Absolutely. It does. Nepal is a Dev Bhumi. Nepal, I feel I am very blessed to be born in Nepal. That too in the laps of Lord Pashupatinath, right? Every morning from any window of my house, I was able to see Lord Pashupatinath and do a darshan right from my window, right? there cannot be any more blessing than that. I would not, in million or billion of lifetime, if I was ever to be reincarnated again in this world, choose any other different location, because to be able to be around that energy, I think my life is already complete. Everything else is a bonus, right? With that, it gives you a lot of perspective. You can see, in my life, Purva, I've seen people come with hope everywhere. Pashupatinath, you come to Pashupatinath with hope. Nepa Rudraksha, you come there with hope. I've seen people walk in with hope and walk out with smile. And that has been the journey of my life. And that has been the reason I'm so drawn to the word transformation, because I've seen and I've witnessed transformation day in and day out. And being born at Pashupatinath, I feel that I saw that at scale that probably a lot of people have never seen, right? My grandfather, late Mr. Balaram Khatiwada, used to be a Karmakanda priest at Pashupatinath Temple. Every single morning at 3 a.m. at Brahma Muhurat, he was fortunate to be able to do puja at Pashupatinath Temple, right? So hearing these stories, it becomes so, it becomes like, I wish I was born at that time. I wish I was there with him. I wish I was able to see him, right? Do these, because it gives you a different level of, motivation. It gives you a different level of energy, being born in such sacred Dev Bhumi, as well as in the epicenter of the Dev Bhumi, to be able to born there. So I 100% agree that this drive for transformation, this drive for Sanatana Dharma comes from there. And it also comes because I have seen the impact of it. So when you might be attracted to something for a small while, but when you start seeing the result of that attraction starts becoming into something that you really want to do, and your mission, and then your life. Yes, being born at Pashupatinath gave me that early start, and gave me that, that view that, okay, yes, this is the reality, this is the truth. But when I started to dive deeper into Sanatana Dharma, I started to realize that how deep that temple is, how much, how blessed I am. Every single day I wake up, I feel more and more in debt of the place that I was born in. That's the reason I always talk about Nepal with the highest regard. And if I am able to do something for my country now or in the future, that would be the goal of my life.
How did it feel? I always, I have not had the pleasure to, or the, luck to actually, he has not called me to Pashupatinath yet. But when I imagine it, I always get goosebumps. I always imagine the entire energy to just make me very complete. I always feel like when I'll enter there, if I do a aarti there, all the questions will be answered. Is it actually like that? Have you performed a aarti inside of Pashupatinath?
Absolutely. Every single day, there's multiple pujas that are performed inside Pashupatinath, right? Pashupatinath is a Shivalinga. Shivalinga, in all over the world, there is pujas that are performed in Shivalinga. I've been surprised that, there is even information out there where people have claimed that, pujas cannot be performed at Pashupatinath Temple, which is absolutely untrue. I recommend everyone to visit and perform a puja themselves. At Nepa Rudraksha, all of the Rudrakshas that we provide our clients, the free Prana Sparsha Puja or free touch energization is done at Pashupatinath Temple prior to it being shipped. And the Vedic Pranapratishtha Puja includes a complete, Panchamrit Abhishek at Pashupatinath Temple before the product is shipped to you. So while you have not visited Pashupatinath Temple, the bracelet that you're wearing in your hand has. And that is a huge blessing. And that's the reason that you can already feel the energy of Pashupatinath. And like you said, Pashupatinath, Shivalinga is the only Yajman Linga where the faces of Lord Shiva is visible. The faces of Sadyojat, Bamadev, Aghor, Tatpurush and Ishan faces are visible to the worshippers, to the visitors of Pashupatinath Temple. And it's one of the, it's without the darshan of Pashupatinath, it's said that your 12 Jyotirlinga, the Dwadasha Jyotirlinga darshan is incomplete. So I'm nobody to be able to define and sit here and explain to you the vibrations or the energy of the temple. But what I just say, and I know that you will someday visit and you will feel it for yourself.
I really hope so. And it's so beautiful that every product that you send out, because I've received mine, there's also, blessings from Pashupatinath, and people, there's something called Pranapratishtha on your website, and people also get a video of the same puja. So even if somebody cannot go, I feel that you somehow take them there in spirit. So it's very beautiful. Was this planned in such a way? Like when you decided to do the Pranapratishtha, or when you decided to make a video and send it to people, what was your thought process there?
I'd never planned this, because this is not something that I did. This is something that has always been done at Nepa Rudraksha. My grandfather, like I said, late Mr. Balaram Khatiwada, was a Vedic Karmakanta priest at Pashupatinath Temple. So, the reason that we did this is because this is always something that we've always done. My grandfather always believed, and this is a fact, that Rudraksha needs to be energized, because Shiva is only active once Shakti is a part of Shiva, right? Without Shakti, Shiva becomes Shava, meaning he's inactive. So Rudraksha, while the energy is already present in it, you need to activate the energy through Pranapratishtha. See, one of the things that people get confused about Pranapratishtha is, hey, Rudraksha is already strong. Why are we pouring energy into it? No, that's a very naive way of looking into the process. We're not actually filling it with energy. We're just activating the Rudraksha. It's like igniting the energy that is already present in the Rudraksha through the Pranapratishtha puja. And because of our history of being from Pashupatinath, right, the only village, my village, the place that I'm from, the gaon that I'm from is Pashupatinath, right? So that's the reason that we're able to continue this practice, right? And it's almost shocking to people that this is being done today, that it just blows their mind, but it really is. And you can, our clients sometimes visit Pashupatinath Temple, and we provide them with darshan, and they know the process and the extent of the things that we do. But my responsibility has always been to bring transparency in our practice. I know that my clients trust me. I know that, with the history that we have a lot of, trust in our brand. But transparency has always been my goal. That's the reason when we introduced Pranapratishtha Puja as a service on the website, we also ensured that we do a video to make people view the ceremony and make them be a part of it. Some people even request a live puja, and trust me, with the limited technological infrastructure back in the days, we were still accommodating that, and we've always ensured that when you want that Pranapratishtha Puja to be performed, we go and we break all our limits and perform it so that you feel like you were at the temple that day.
Thank you so much, Sukritya.
Thank you, Purva.
For talking to us so much and helping us understand so many aspects. I really hope that through this podcast, we're able to explain to you how closely we feel about the work that we do and how much effort goes into explaining and maintaining the authenticity of Rudraksha that comes to you. I thank Nepa Rudraksha for making sure that knowledge is always there. Facts are always there to counter any myth and any scam that is out there in the market, because your transformation really does not need to be complicated. It's simple. Trust facts, go to Vedic experts, and start your story now. Thank you.